Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 8 of the Queer Disrupt podcast. This episode is titled Comfort During COVID, Online Communities, Gaming, and Queer Intimacy. For this month, Phoenix Wilks is joined by guests Jackie Rose, Haley, and Yeli as they discuss how Twitch has helped support them through the ongoing pandemic. They're also going to talk a little bit about how they feel they've been able to forge their own queer communities through Twitch. So we really hope you enjoy.
Hello, new podcast episode. Basically, I'm going to be talking to some very amazing and very interesting people about Twitch and making queer spaces in Twitch. And yes, it's very exciting. So I will let everyone introduce themselves. If we could start with Haley.
Sure. Hi, I'm Haley. I am a Twitch streamer. I am queer and she, her.
Jackie, do you want to go next?
Hi, I am Jackie Rose, and my pronouns are she, her, and I have been streaming on Twitch since about mid-August.
And then Yeli.
Hello, my name is Yeli. I am Haley's wife. I'm not a Twitch streamer, but I am Haley's head mod, lead mod, whatever you call it. And yeah, my pronouns are she, her.
Amazing. So that is all of my lovely guests. And then I myself, my name is Phoenix. In terms of Twitch, I moderate for 4 different channels, including Jackie's and Haley's. And then in terms of Queer Disrupt, I am the social media volunteer. So basically anything that you guys are seeing on Facebook or Twitter, that's me. That's me doing that, which is very fun. So yeah, basically we're going to be talking a little bit about Twitch and queerness, which is going to be really fun. Last month's podcast that we just put out by one of my colleagues, Catriona, she talked a lot about Animal Crossing and Twitch. So there might be some overlap, but hopefully not too much. I think it's going to be very interesting talking to these 3 amazing people here because the group of us have a very inside experience of what Twitch is like because we have 2 streamers, we have 2 moderators, we're all very involved in it, like very intimately. And so, yeah, hopefully we can build a little bit on what Katrina was talking about last month. So basically, I thought we could start with kind of thinking about how Twitch and gaming in general, until recently, has been a very male-dominated space. It's a very straight male-dominated space, especially. But Catriona and her guest last month actually mentioned that Twitch is slowly becoming a more queer space over quarantine. And I think that that's really interesting. So if we wanted to talk a little bit about that, how we feel like Twitch is changing and how we kind of fall into that.
I think that something that quarantine is bringing out in people or drawing people towards is finding new creative ways to feel connected to other people and to feel less lonely. I started watching Twitch 6 months ago, I think, and it was really out of a desire to find something to do and to fill the time, because especially at the beginning of quarantine when we were all at home, you know what I mean? Nothing was open. So I found people that I knew from other social media platforms, specifically YouTube, on Twitch. And I think that in some ways they happened to be queer and they had also just started streaming. But then from there, I found more and more people, I think because of the suggested tags on the stream being LGBTQ+. From there, I think the algorithm started to push more and more queer streamers in my feed. And then, whether subconsciously or consciously, it's sort of oh, cool. This is a place where you can actually engage with people that aren't just, like you said, straight men, and that there's more to it than just sort of yelling and shooting games. You know what I mean? So that's something that I've sort of observed from getting into Twitch and then also being more involved in it as a streamer myself.
I agree with what Haley has said. And I think what has been really cool for us specifically is that I feel like there are a few of us who started streaming around the same time, and we all people have just kind of slowly become friends. And it's like all of our communities have blended together. And it's really nice to see that we can each have our own individual amazing communities and people who love all of us, individually, especially the fact that we're not just like straight guy gamers, like that. I just think that's really cool to see so many people who do want to watch us and interact with us and, be our friend. And it's so easy for us to find different people within our community, whether it's like suggested people or our own friends who start streaming who kind of do things like in similar ways that we do. And it is nice to see all of my following list not just be the same kind of person who you would expect to see on Twitch. It's nice to see that diversity.
I think that in terms of like creating queer spaces as well, from like a moderation point of view, Twitch is really unique in the sense that like you can really create a safe space. Like you can get a good moderation team that deletes any sort of thing that you don't want to see, and the streamer doesn't have to see it, and that is allowed to like not even exist in that space. And you don't have to, like justify banning somebody. You don't have to jump through hoops to block somebody that's making the space not okay, which is something that I really like applaud Twitch for, because it's really easy to just be like, that is not okay. We're not going to do this here. If this is not the space for you, then that's not the space for you, but we're not going to do it.
I also think, sort of going off what Jackie said about like sort of having a blended community of, not exactly the same, but the Venn diagram is almost a circle type thing, is that I think it's also cool to see people get excited to find us because we are queer, like specifically to be like, oh my God, you're in my, you know what I mean? Like you're someone that like I can see myself in and that I can find that representation in. And that's really cool to me. I had somebody come into my chat one time and be like, wait, are you gay? And I was like, yes. And they were like, oh my God, I'm so excited. And then somebody was like, that's weird to be excited about somebody just because they're gay. And I was like, no, because here's the thing. You don't understand that feeling of just entering every space and it's just assumed to be straight and assumed to be heterosexual. And to then realize that somebody that you like is gay is awesome. Like it's such a cool thing. I've experienced it so many times. There's people that I found on YouTube and Twitch that like, once I realize that they're gay, I'm like, let's watch the backlog, like give me the content. And I also think, sort of going into Animal Crossing as well, I think it's interesting to see that game. First of all, that game is why I bought a Switch and like started playing video games this year at all, because there are women and non-binary people and just gender non-conforming people who do play other games than Animal Crossing, and they exist and they're there. But I think that Animal Crossing created a very like soft space on Twitch in very welcoming for people to dip their toes in and find communities that are going to be supportive and kind. And I know that I've watched some people that people are like, you should be on Just Chatting before starting Animal Crossing as your category. And they're like, when I'm on Just Chatting, sometimes weird stuff happens, but if you're on the Animal Crossing category, the discovery is usually more wholesome. So I think that that's also something interesting in terms of like creating space for people who might feel excluded from Twitch to really enter the space.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. A couple of weeks ago, I was playing with a friend on her stream. We were playing Minecraft, and just being under like the Minecraft category as opposed to categories like Animal Crossing, the things that we got in chat that we had to like scramble to like delete and to moderate was like really quite scary in some ways. So yeah, I think it's very interesting to kind of think about the fact that I feel like a large part of Twitch becoming more of a queer space is due to Animal Crossing and like more games like that. Like I think Sims does similar things and stuff like that, where if you have a game that feels more queer, more safe, more welcoming, then it kind of draws those kinds of different people in, as opposed to like shooting games, war games. That doesn't generally appeal to queer people as a general group, if we want to go there. But
I think that also goes into like the way that we're in such a stressful time. And so I think that Animal Crossing was such a comfort. Like I don't know if I would have made it through April without Animal Crossing, to be completely transparent. There are days, this is embarrassing to admit, but there are days that I only remember Animal Crossing as the conscious thing that I did that day. You know what I mean? Like there wasn't even a border to it. It's like all my brain took in was Animal Crossing Crossing because I was just so stressed and upset and all that stuff. And the like cycle of grief kind of was going through in terms of like feeling like this year was just being like taken away. But so I think that there's that aspect to it where I think it's been like really healing as a game for a lot of people for so many reasons. But then I think as well, Animal Crossing was the only game I watched on Twitch for a very long time, like probably for the first 4 to 6 months that I was watching Twitch streamers. I would specifically look for streamers that streamed Animal Crossing content exclusively because that's all I wanted to watch. You know, then it's interesting the correlation of streamers that I watched that are like queer and play Animal Crossing. You know what I mean? Like that category specifically led me to so many streamers that are under the LGBTQ plus category as well, you know?
I also think what is so nice about Animal Crossing is like just what you said, Haley, is that it's brought so many of us like so much comfort this year because this year has been so hard. I mean, for everybody. And it's just kind of amazing to me that for me personally, like thinking of starting streaming, you know, just thinking of like playing games on the internet, I guess I never really would have imagined that I would have been able to find a community like we have found and like to be able to make friends like I have made. Like it's been so important to so many people, which I know sounds silly to a lot of people because it's a video game, but it really has brought, I know me, and I'm sure a lot of other people, it's brought so much more to my life than like just being a game that I can play. You know, it wasn't only like a mental escape for me this year, and I literally didn't do anything else in April other than play either. So I totally feel that. But just the friends that I've made and the people that I've met, and Animal Crossing is such a comforting game. And so I feel like it brings those people to watch it who are also people who just make you feel comfortable. You know, that's one thing that I love so much about the community is that I just feel comfortable with everybody. And I feel like I can say anything, I can totally be myself, and I can talk about anything and, you know, real life issues or real things that are going on. And there's never any judgment. It's always understanding. It's always like, you come first, like take care of yourself. And it's just been so nice to be able to make such a nice group of friends that I feel like really support me and that I support them too whenever we're all kind of going through this thing together.
Something that is really special about Animal Crossing as well, in terms of how wholesome and soft it is that it really is just like hearing affirmations all day, because you'll run up to your little villager and they'll be like, oh my gosh, Yeli, I'm so happy to see you. You're such a good friend. Like, help me find this bug or whatever. And it's like truly for somebody's self-esteem, even though it sounds silly, to hear that all day for however long you play that, it truly makes you happier. Even if it, like, obviously we're all collectively going through trauma right now and it's not going to fix that, but it brings me so much joy. And I truly like the level of attachment I have for all of the little characters in it is like just is so joyful and so like wholesome. And I think that translates into the people that hop into all of our chats, because, you know, like there's not that like playing Call of Duty makes people a bad person, but like there's a correlation, I'm sure, between people who like only want to consume violent content and the way that they like perceive the world and themselves and how that interaction goes. In the same way that like people who are attracted to Animal Crossing and wholesome content and like receive that positive affirmation constantly from it seek out the same vibes as well, I imagine.
I think it's very interesting that, like, for me, the kind of thing that happened was very similar. I played Animal Crossing non-stop from April onwards, and it was the only thing in my life at all. But I think the thing for me that took it from not just a coping mechanism, but to something that was actively bringing me intense amounts of joy was connecting it to Twitch communities and to like feeling like a part of Twitch communities, because suddenly it doesn't feel like you're doing it alone, because, you know, even though you're sat there and like you're playing the game and it feels good, there's like this little thing in the back of your mind that's still acutely aware of how alone you are at that time. And then you bring Twitch into the equation, and I know so many people play Animal Crossing while they're watching people stream it, and then the connection between viewers and streamers and viewers and each other just makes it so much easier to deal with everything, I think.
That's definitely true. I know for me, whenever I first started playing Animal Crossing, I probably only had like maybe 2 or 3 real life friends that I know in person who play Animal Crossing. And I've always enjoyed video games, but haven't played them as much in my adult life. But whenever I did decide to get Animal Crossing and get a Switch and start playing, that was a big motivation for me to start being involved in Twitch, whether it was just to watch streamers and be able to talk in their chat, and then to eventually start streaming on my own, was because, you know, I said out loud, I was like, I just want to have friends who are interested in the same thing that I am and want to play fun video games that I want to play and like get it, you know, and understand how fun it can be and just be able to connect with people. And that's so true that it really has like brought all of us together in that way. It like started as something that we all were kind of doing on our own to deal with everything. But now it's like, hey, we can all deal with it together, and we can also like give each other DIYs and stuff. You know, it's so sweet to know that it's just so comforting. I mean, that's just really the main word that I can think of, because you have real, genuine friends who are there for you and who are enjoying the same thing that you're enjoying. And for me, that makes it a lot more enjoyable to be able to share that with other people who feel the same way that I do.
Playing Animal Crossing as well, and the connections through it has really been special to me as well, because my little sisters also have Animal Crossing, and we like obviously have been quarantining, so we haven't been able to like really see each other at like a close distance and like really hang out the way that we used to. But like my little sister will come over to my island and we'll just like run around and be silly and hang out for a little bit, and it like truly is just like makes everything so much better. And yeah, like totally, like our communities are amazing that we've built out of everything. Like I think that on Wednesday, it was the day that Haley wasn't streaming, and people were in the Discord being like, I miss everybody, good morning, like see y'all tomorrow. And it's always so sweet to see everybody say that, because the bonding that we've done over everything is really like amazing and really makes it easier to get through the days and to get through everything together.
You mentioning bonding just makes me think, I remember somebody saying something in my chat one day about, they were just like, do you all feel like you can talk to your internet friends about things that you can't talk to your real life friends about? And, you know, everybody else was just like, oh my gosh, yeah. And that's just funny, because I feel like that's so true, because it's like, sure, you all are my internet friends. Like I've never met you in person, you know, we've never seen each other in real life, but something about making friends on the internet and probably being involved like in the same communities and knowing that we have so many similar interests or viewpoints or whatever it may be makes it so much easier, I think, for us all to connect and share things with each other and really be able to be like vulnerable with each other and like very straightforward, which is really nice. Because if you think about like your real life friends, I can't even think of the amount of times where I have like lied to my friends to like get out of plans or something like that, you know, from being really introverted. But it's like, if I'm not feeling well and don't want to stream one day, or if I pop into Haley's stream but I'm not feeling good, I have no problem being like, hey y'all, sorry, I just can't today. And just everybody coming back at you with just so much love and like, it's okay, we've all been there. It's so neat to be able to have those connections with people that you really haven't met before. And there's just something really special about it, I think.
I think the interesting thing for me that like the communities kind of feel like this fundamental like base of just unconditional care and love for everyone involved, the streamer and for everyone else. I think I remember the first time I was in a stream and I was like, hey guys, I'm sorry if I'm quiet, like I'm not doing too well. And just the fact that I got a few messages replying to it like, oh, I hope you're doing okay. And then like everyone was giving me love and stuff. stuff, I was literally like, oh my God, like I was feeling bad. And like I still am, but I feel so much better just because I've been supported. And I think that's so interesting in the way that for me, our Twitch communities feel like such a queer space. I feel like queer people have relationships and friendships differently, fundamentally, that I think queer people are so much more open to being so vulnerable with each other. And I think that that's how I've always felt that connection of like queerness with Twitch communities, even in ones that aren't explicitly queer. Like obviously Haley's all the time you're like, this is my wife, and it's very obvious at that point, like that's a very like explicitly queer space. But even in streams that aren't necessarily like, explicitly queer, it still feels like it has that level of comfort and like, acceptance that is just so amazing to me.
100%. First of all, I think that to go off of what you said about queer people and queer spaces just tending to be a little bit more vulnerable, this is totally just me thinking thoughts. But I think that that is because queer people have to be vulnerable to exist, in that you are assumed cis, straight, period. And so it takes so much vulnerability to exist and be queer publicly, like outside of yourself. And so I think that because of that, queer spaces are like, not to say that we're exempt from having toxic spaces within the community, but I think that you also find these really deep connections in positive queer spaces because you're talking to people that are used to being pretty open, or like have had to be pretty open in order to be seen properly and to be seen for who they truly are. And I also think that for myself, and probably for a lot of other queer people, the first space that I was queer in was the internet, like was online, because I did like a soft launch of being gay to my online friends. You know what I mean? Because you don't know them in real life. And so there's a lot less risk to it. It won't change your day to day, first of all, right? Like the worst thing is you have to block somebody. And then on top of that, it's so much easier to type it than to say it, because you can put a period on the sentence, send, and there's no follow up, there's no dead space. You know what I mean? Like you put down your phone, you walk away. And so I feel like because of that, queer spaces are like pretty vulnerable. And I know a lot of people will be like, hey, I'm not out yet, but like I'd like to be queer here to like just feel validated. You know what I mean? And like to have that somewhere. And so I think that's a really cool thing that you can experience specifically in queer communities. And I think that that's why it means a lot to me. And I think it's really important that Twitch has the LGBT plus category, or like tag basically, because I think it's a really easy way to spot a community that you could potentially really vibe with versus having to sort of be like, do they look gay? You know what I mean? Because what does gay look like? You know what I mean? Like that's like a whole other thing, is, anybody can be gay and look any type of way, or like be in the community and look any type of way. So it just makes it so much easier to find that community. And then as somebody who streams with that tag, I also feel like as a streamer, part of my goal with my community, apart from like goals on Twitch, which are kind of more amorphous to me than like the actual day-to-day fostering relationships thing, is that when people come into my space and to come into my chat, that it's very clear that it's somewhere that they can be safe in, and that they don't have to wonder if it's a welcoming space, if it's a space where they can sort of drop hints or just say that they're queer or that, whatever, and that it's going to be fine. You know what I mean? And I think that that's something that like was a motivation for me for starting my Twitch, because there's so many streamers. I was like, what am I adding? You know what I mean? Like what's the reason I'm here? And I think that is a huge part of it for me, is to create a space that like I would have thrived in when I was a teenager. You know what I mean? That I would have like gotten there and been like, oh my God, this is cool. This is a cool space to be in.
I totally agree with Haley in that I think it's very important to make sure that the stream is a safe space for everyone, and that everybody realizes and understands, and that it's clear to everyone that you're all welcome and anybody can be here. Anybody can come and chat. Like you're welcome to come as you are. And something for me personally that's really interesting about like joining Twitch and making so many friends, and especially so many queer friends, is that like I personally have always identified as straight and like nothing else. But I feel like the more that I get to know queer people and talk about it and like listen and see people just having these super open conversations, the more that I like look at myself and think like, am I straight? You know what I mean? Like, it's okay for me to not really know, or to say like, I don't know that I could definitely say that I'm 100% straight, because that's okay. And it's okay for me to also not know 100% how I feel about it. You know what I mean? Or like what I would identify as, I guess I could say. And that's just really cool for me because I'm in my late 20s. And so it's interesting for me to be coming to this point in my life where I'm like, one thing that I always thought was one way actually might not be that way. And that's really cool, because if I were to get onto stream next week and say, hey, everyone, I think that I'm a lesbian, like everybody would be like, hell yeah, that's amazing. There's just so much Phoenix, like, hell yeah. There's just so much like acceptance everywhere. And so it's like, you know what? I can be okay with saying, yeah, I think I'm straight, but maybe not. And it's just nice to like have so many friends who I know are cool with that. And there's no reason to not be cool with that, but look internally to kind of like dissect that more. And I feel like I potentially wouldn't have done that if I hadn't become a part of this one big and all of these tiny little communities on Twitch and made all of these friends who are always so open and accepting and loving. Yeah, I don't know that I really would have thought more about that or like come to those realizations if I weren't on Twitch.
I also think it's so cool that we can have these discussions within our chats on stream and elsewhere, and that they can be really productive and positive, because I know for a fact, because I've seen it, but I've also just heard about it, that there are spaces online where you can be like, I don't know if I'm gay or any label, insert label, but I might be. And then basically to have people say like, prove it, you know what I mean? Or perform it for me, show me, give me proof. And I think that part of the benefit of like being live and being in the moment, and also sort of like what Yeli was saying, the ability to have mods and to sort of regulate that chat space, is that you can have these really beautiful conversations in real time with people that you've basically just met in some scenarios, or like maybe you know them, but they're your online friends. You know what I mean? Like they're people that you've met recently, basically. And you can have these really beautiful conversations and productive conversations. I don't think it's something that you can necessarily have in the same way in person. And I also think the fact that you're playing a game while you're having these conversations makes it a little bit more chill. Like you're like running around catching bugs and like chatting about not heavy stuff, but just more like actual real life shit. You know what I mean? And so I feel like it kind of gives this levity to it. And then also you have the perfect conversation changer if you start to be like, okay, I don't want to dig deeper. Let's talk about digging up fossils, or let's go shopping. You know what I mean? And I think that it kind of gives you this really cool opportunity to have room for it, but also for it not to be this big momentous occasion. You know what I mean? Like if you were sitting down in real life with friends, then it'd be sort of like, how do I like, when do I bring this up? You know, that like bubbly feeling when you're like, I'm going to say it, I'm going to bring it up. And then you're like, I can't do it. But in online spaces, I feel like I rarely have that feeling, or it's like very fleeting. And so I think that that's a cool thing as well about being in a live chat room with people on a constant basis, you know?
I feel like there also is just on Twitch no better feeling than hopping into somebody's chat. This happens to me in Jackie's chat a lot. I'll hop in and I'll be like, hi babes. And then everybody will be like, hi Yeli, hi Yeli, hi Yeli, hi Yeli. And there'll be like 7 hi Yelis in the chat. And I'll be like, oh my gosh, I love everybody. I'm so excited to see everybody. And even like with streamers that don't play Animal Crossing, that just like across Twitch, I find a lot of the streamers that I've seen, I'll like hop in the chat and be like, hi, I'm new. And then there will be like at least 3 people in the chat who directly talk to me and are like, hi, like welcome in. And everybody like, I don't know, Twitch is interesting in the sense that even people who are in the chat, if they're in there consistently, they also kind of take ownership over that chat space and over like setting the tone and knowing that, you know, we're going to be welcoming to new friends. And yeah, it's really like fun to see people pop in the chat one day and then pop in again the next day and then just be in there every day. It's very cool.
I love that feeling too of going into someone's stream and seeing friends in the chat who are saying hi to you, or seeing another streamer or a streamer friend who is so excited to see you, because you can tell and you can feel that it's genuine excitement. Like whenever my chat is so pumped to see Yeli come in, it's like totally legitimate. And I think that as a streamer, you obviously have the choice to control your chat to a certain extent. And that's a big job of the moderators, obviously. But I feel like I have a responsibility, kind of like Haley was talking about earlier, to make sure that it is welcoming and accepting to everyone, and that any kind of hate or rudeness or anything like that will not be accepted, and there's a fine line between being sarcastic or just being rude. And it is so sweet whenever you see people who are in your chat that aren't moderators, but are welcoming other people in. And whenever that happens, that's whenever your community grows. And for me, it's like, I don't necessarily want my community to grow because I want to be streaming to thousands of people every single day. Whenever I think about my community growing, it's like, I want more friends, because my community, they're my friends. And I know that whenever I say like, okay, I'll see y'all on Sunday, I know that I'm going to see them on Sunday. And that's just such a sweet feeling. And so if I can be really welcoming and say the person's name whenever I see them follow or see them in the chat and they're saying hi for the first time, and me saying hi to them makes them feel welcome and makes them feel like they want to be a part of the community, then I've done my job, because that's what I want. Is I want more people to want to be there and to want to be friends with everyone, because everyone's so sweet. It's just like, come be friends with us. I feel like that's how our chats are. Our chats are like, hi, welcome, come be our friend. Like, you're going to love it here. It's just the sweetest thing, because I really never even watched Twitch until this year in quarantine, but I've definitely watched some other streamers where I'll watch their chat and they may not be as welcoming, or just something about the vibe of it feels immature or kind of off. Everybody's kind of talking about something different. And that's fine if that's the kind of stream that you want to watch or the kind of chat that you want to participate in. But something that I love so much about my chat and Haley's chat and our other friends' chats is just that it's like we can all have that conversation together, whether it's something funny or a joke or a serious topic. It's like we're all there basically just hanging out together. And that's just such a good feeling to know that you're just basically going to hang out with your friends 3 or 4 times a week, guaranteed,
I think it's really interesting how Twitch works in terms of like how we've mentioned before with moderation. Like, you as a streamer and then with your moderators, you literally have the power to control how your chat feels. So you pick your moderators because you see them around a lot and you know that they pass the vibe check. You know that they are exactly the kind of person that you want in that community. And you know that they're going to then be like spreading that more and more. And then just the fact that you have the ability to be able to just block someone who isn't working out. The ability to be able to do that, I think, is so interesting, because I think Haley mentioned it before. The internet has always been a really queer space. But I think that the thing that I find so interesting about Twitch is that it becomes even more of a safe queer space, because you can literally just go, no, you have to leave. You don't get a choice in that matter. It can be so safe, because if something doesn't work out, you can stop it immediately. And I think that part of what makes it feel so safe for me, I know, like, if I come into like anyone's stream and they say something, someone random says something like rude to me or rude to a streamer, that'll be gone in like 5 seconds, and that's it. It's done. I find that like really comforting, I think.
I totally agree. I can remember one stream that I had, and it was fairly recently, but I don't remember when exactly it was. But I was playing the game and wasn't looking at the chat, and had like glanced back at chat and noticed that probably Phoenix had already banned someone. Well, somebody had come into the chat and they were talking to me and asking me a couple of questions, and I was chatting back and forth with them. But then whenever I was playing the game, they said something, and I still to this day don't have a clue what it was that they said. But then I had like 5 other people in chat who were like, don't worry about it, Jackie. Like, they weren't being nice. And the person was still there, and they were like, I was just making a joke. And, 10 people were like, that's not how you make a joke. And that person was eventually banned. And for me, it's like, one part of coming onto Twitch and onto the internet, I was like, okay, I know that being on the internet is not asking for any kind of hate or abuse. Like nobody ever deserves that, whether you're on the internet or not. But I did understand that I was opening myself up to that, maybe more than I would just in my normal life of seeing my boyfriend and going to work every single day. So it's really nice and comforting to know that I do have moderators or even just viewers, even people who may not even be following or subscribed, who have my back and who are like, no, we're going to make this a safe space for everyone, including the streamer, because we are there and we are unfortunately open to anybody coming in and saying whatever they want to us. And that's scary to know that someone can come in and say that. And that was a fear for me whenever I started, that someone would come in and bully me or say something mean or hurt my feelings. And so just knowing that I've got people who have my back and who will make sure that that is not tolerated in any way, shape, or form makes it so much easier for me to feel excited about getting online, because I'm like, oh, like no one's going to say anything to me. If they do, they're gone.
I feel like the biggest learning curve when Haley started streaming for both of us was that we would constantly be like, this person is not doing anything that's explicitly against the rules, but they just do not pass the vibe check. Like they're just being weird. The energy is not where it needs to be. And at first, like as a mod, I would kind of just let it slide and be like, okay, well, it's not against the rules. So like maybe it's just me. Maybe I'm the one interpreting it strangely. But then a while ago, I heard another Twitch streamer like liken streaming to welcoming people into your home. And I feel like that is very true, because like that's exactly what you're doing. Like you are streaming from your home, from your safest space, from the place where you feel the most vulnerable, where you feel the most yourself. And if somebody comes into your home and does something strange or makes you feel weird in any sort of way, you get to be like, I'm really sorry, but you need to leave. Especially if they upset the other guests that you have there, you know, like if they upset your chat, if they upset the people who are with you every day. And that is totally valid. Like the other day in Haley's stream, somebody came into the chat and was just like not passing the vibe check. And I was like, they're not doing anything against the rules. But all of the mods eventually got into Discord and were like, are we all thinking this? Like, are we all on the same page? And eventually, we unfortunately banned them. The energy was not there. And sometimes you do just need to protect your energy and protect the vibes and keep it a wholesome space. And you're not the only streamer on Twitch. Like, everybody can just hop into another stream that hopefully, you know, find more of the same vibe that they're looking for. But yeah, it was a really big learning curve to learn to be okay with just like telling people, no, you're not coming into my home today. We're not doing it.
Yeah, I think that being live is a really interesting way to quickly learn your boundaries and to be forced to really dig deep and figure out your boundaries. Because, I mean, Jackie, I'm sure you experienced this, because how could you not? But like when you're first starting out, there's no way to anticipate everything that could happen during a stream. And so I feel like when you're really small and you're getting started, somebody comes into the chat and they're not passing the vibe check, but you just have to think to yourself, if I allow this person to act like this in my space, then if somebody comes in and we could have a good conversation, but the chat is weird, they're going to leave. You know what I mean? So you kind of have to start like cultivating that space from the jump. And also, I think that like people ask a lot of you while you're live, like random people, you know what I mean? Like somebody who has never been there before, or maybe has been lurking, but has never said anything, will be like, let me come to your island or come to my dream code or whatever. And I think that figuring out those boundaries while you're live is really tough, because you don't want to seem rude or mean or just off-putting in any way. But then you're also like, this person's being kind of rude. You know what I mean? It is such a weird thing to navigate. But I think that once you've created a cool space and a nice community, you almost don't even have to say anything. You can just ignore the comment and everyone will either move on or they will check that person and be like, hey, that's not really how things work around here. This is the vibe. You know what I mean? And so that's why I feel like it's so important to like set your tone early, because that's how you attract the people that you actually want in your chat, versus creating a space that just snowballs out of control into sort of what Jackie was saying, like more of an immature space where you're like, I can't really dig this conversation. You know what I mean? And then I also think that with choosing mods, it was such a like an interesting process because I always put up like a survey in Discord to be like, if you want a mod, let me know. Cause I don't know. I always assume that I'm imposing, but I'm like, I don't want to like reach out to people and then make them feel pressured to mod. So I just like put it out there. I'm like, if you want a mod, let me know. And then from there, it's sort of thinking, okay, in the chat, do I trust this person to react how I would react in that situation? And I think that it's been really cool to see that play out and also to just be like, whew, okay, my instincts were right. You know what I mean? Like the people that I found or that like found me really, but like, you know what I mean? Like it's very cool to see it all work out and to know that especially for any type of harassment or bullying or weird shit like that, offensive shit, that like, there's no doubt in my mind that they're going to let something slide that I wouldn't let slide and that they're going to sort of like misrepresent what I would do in chat. And I think that that is something that's also super unique to Twitch. YouTube streaming, I mean, other gaming platforms I'm sure have moderation, but in the other platforms that I have posted content in, you don't have someone moderating for you. I don't have someone moderating my Instagram DMs. When I started posting reels, that got super interesting. I got many horrible DMs from that. You know what I mean? And you don't have somebody modding that. And so then it's like a mental thing that you have to just figure out for yourself. And like YouTube comments are not moderated. Yeli has offered to, and I will take her up on it probably eventually to like pre-screen and delete and then go forward. But luckily right now things are relatively chill. But so I just think that like, for me at least, it takes very little emotional energy for me to feel ready to stream on Twitch and to hop on there every morning because I don't have to psych myself up because I know I've got a support system in my chat, in my mods. Like I know that if I log on, I don't have to be playing every part kind of. And I think that's been something that's really game changing for me, has been finding that on Twitch. And then also like with Animal Crossing sort of as the umbrella for all of this, or like the emanation for all of this, I feel like you get such wholesome viewers and such wholesome chats from it and such wholesome moments. You know what I mean? Like the game itself is just so freaking cute. Like you get these little adorable things happening. And then it keeps the chat in the best place. And I'm like, yeah, I can wake up and play Animal Crossing pretty much any day. And so I feel like it's just such an easy platform to come back to because I don't have to worry that I'm going to open it up and be exposed to creepy stuff or mean stuff or just harassment. And I think that discovering that really made me feel like, oh, Twitch and just like gaming communities in general can be a really cool place to be and to like spend my time as a creator and a consumer.
Just kind of going off of what Yeli and Haley both said, I feel the same way in that at this point, now that I have been doing this for a few months, I definitely feel like I'm ready to stream whenever it's time to stream. I basically don't have any worries about how the chat's going to go. I don't have any worries about like if my mods are going to be doing their job correctly or not. And I think that it can take time in order to get to that place. But I think it's important, just like Haley said, to really start it from the beginning because it's really easy, especially whenever you're very first starting out, like you said, Haley, to see like one or two people chatting in chat and you're like, oh my gosh, I have people here watching. But it's like, you can't let those people sit there and watch you at the expense of your own well-being. If they're not passing the vibe check, then like they don't need to be there. If they're being rude, they don't need to be there no matter how much you want the views. And really the same thing goes for your mods too. I mean, it's easy whenever you're first starting out for someone to offer to mod for you right away. And you immediately take that because I know for me, whenever I first started, I really knew nothing about Twitch. And one of my questions was like, okay, if I start getting regular viewers, how am I going to get mods? Do I ask them? Do they offer? Like, is this a paid job? Like literally knew nothing. And so whenever people offer for you, you want to just grab onto that. But sometimes when you do that, it doesn't end up working out. So it's really important, I think, that you make sure that you're really cultivating that community from the very, very beginning and making sure that you're setting the tone for how you want things to be and also communicating that with your mods and communicating that with the rest of your community. That way your mods know what to expect. Keep that like line of communication super open and just make sure that your mods are comfortable coming to you and saying like, hey, how do you feel about this? You know, do you feel like this person is being kind of weird? Like Yeli was saying, I mean, I'll get done with this stream and I'll see my mod chat. They've been, you know, popping off the entire stream talking about people. And I'm like, I love to see 20 messages in the mod chat because I'll read it and I'm like, oh my gosh, they were saying exactly what I was feeling. And so if you can really from the get-go, like get your community to all kind of be on the same page, at least for the most part, as far as like what's acceptable and what's not, then once you finally do reach out to those people who you want to be your mods and get them to do that for you, then you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about if things are going to be weird. You know it's going to be fun. You know it's going to be happy, and you know it's going to be safe. And so I think that's really important, especially when people offer to mod for you or when you're asking someone to mod. Just, you know, make sure that they pass the vibe check as well, because they're setting the tone for your channel. That's the thing. It's like they're going to be posting on your Discord for you, doing a lot of things for you. And so it's like, if this person is a representation of my channel, this person should also represent things that I believe in and treat people the way that I would treat people. And yeah, I think that's really important, but also really nice because it gives you so much comfort and just it's easy to know that once I sit down and I start streaming and I've had the screen on for like 5 minutes, if someone came in and was being weird, like they're already gone. And the only people who are going to be here to hang out with me and my friends are people who me and my friends want to hang out with. It is really cool to think that with Twitch specifically, you can really pin down how you want your community to be and basically pick and choose who you want to be friends with. And you don't have to worry about being mean or looking bad, because just like you said, Haley, if you've got people who are watching you and you have someone in chat who's being extremely negative or talking about something that's potentially really triggering or upsetting to people, and you're just letting it happen, then you're going to have people who are watching and who are sitting there in your chat and who potentially aren't comfortable, potentially might leave, and potentially might never come back because they're not going to feel like that's a safe space. And so it's so cool to really be able to form it really into whatever you want it to be and to be able to make that a comfortable place for your friends.
Something that I'm very interested to talk to you guys about personally is how you guys feel about gender inclusivity in like chats and stuff like that, because you know I'm sat here talking from the perspective of like a gender non-binary person. I relate to like a large part of the trans experience, pronoun changes, name changes, all of that shaboodle. And I think I was just kind of interested to kind of talk to you guys about how you try and make your space trans inclusive in particular. And yeah, I guess I will just open up the floor.
Like there's a couple different ways that I can sort of influence the chat. And first of all is like asking people, like if they're new, what name feels good? Like, let me know if you want me to call you by your username. Do you have an IRL name that you'd like? Like, I know some people have more of like an alias that they use. That's not their username, but it's also not their real life name. But then what's also been like, honestly, it's made me a little bit emotional is I've had people in my chat who have said like, people in my life will not use my name. They will dead name me. And so it's been very like emotional for me, like when I call them by their name, to have them be like, it is so affirming to hear you say my name while I'm in chat. And I think that that's a really special experience, is to be part of the affirmation process for somebody who's not getting that from the people that they know in real life. And I think that that's something also that's beautiful about internet and new relationships, is that you have the opportunity to sort of introduce yourself for the first time as you would like to be, and how you wish you could introduce yourself potentially like from the get-go to everyone that you know. And you get to have that. And I think also something that's been cool is I've found other inclusive Google Chrome extensions through other streamers that I watch, which I think also, it always warms my heart. I'm like, oh, I did find good people to watch. Like, they're opening my eyes to more ways to be inclusive. There's an extension where people can have pronouns next to their name in chat. Whether or not anyone else has it, they can have theirs show up. And I think that that's really cool. Or this isn't related to gender, but I found out that I can do closed captioning. So I'm like trying to figure out how to make that work, just to make sure that my space is as inclusive as possible, even if it's potentially potentially, quote unquote, more work for me. That's part of my job as the head of the community. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really think of myself as like on a different level from anyone who watches me or anyone in my community. I just feel responsible for everybody. And I feel responsible for their experience while they're in my space that I've carved out. So if you're in my chat, I'm responsible for you. You know what I mean? Or like if you're in my Discord, I'm responsible for you. And that's why from jump, I've tried to make it very clear to people, like, if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, let me know. Or if somebody is behaving in a way or treating you in a way that's making you uncomfortable, don't wait, just tell me. It's a non-starter for that. You know what I mean? Like, I want to make sure that this space is very no tolerance for invalidating anyone or acting in a way that is bigoted towards anyone. And I think that by including those tools in my stream, I'm putting it out there. I'm like, hey, we have a command with links of how to add your pronouns to your name. And I'm going to ask you your name, and I'm going to make sure that I'm honoring that. We have introductions channel in our Discord that includes pronouns so that people can put them there if they like. I also know if you're not out yet, if you haven't figured yourself out, that like putting your pronouns down can feel really dysphoric. So also, if someone doesn't put their pronouns, I'm not going to be like, hey, add your pronouns. Like, it's up to you if you want to share them. I think that putting all those things in place signals, without me having to say it, that hopefully, I hope that's the goal, is that this is a very safe space for anyone who is non-conforming to their gender in any way. And I think that it's been a non-issue to my knowledge within the community, which has been really awesome. But I also know that if anything were to come up, that somebody would come to me or one of my mods, and that also it would be shut down immediately. Like, that's automatic block.
Going along with what you said about Discord, Haley, I think that's a really easy way to kind of make sure that everybody is feeling comfortable and like they're able to express themselves in the way that they want to, because I really feel like Discord goes so hand in hand with Twitch, at least for like the majority of people that I know or streamers that I know or viewers that I know. It's just kind of an extension of a way that you can connect with everybody. And so a lot of Discord is chatting with each other and sharing pictures and stories and things that you need to talk about that you may not be comfortable talking about with anybody else. And so it's really important in that space as well to make sure that people can assign themselves their correct pronoun if they want to, which of course they don't have to. You know, I think that it's just making sure that you kind of leave it open to everybody that they can choose to express themselves really however they want to. And it's about making sure that they understand that they can do that, and also that you personally are going to try to honor that. So if you know someone and you just automatically have assumed that their pronouns are she, her, and then you end up finding out that they actually use they, them pronouns, make it a point to make sure that you're using those pronouns. And if you slip up and you say she by accident, then you correct it and you say, oh, sorry, them. And, you know, you don't make a big deal about it, because it doesn't have to be a big deal. It's like, oh, sorry, I made a mistake. Let me fix it. But if we do make that mistake, correct it and openly correct it on stream or in Discord or during a game or something like that. I think that just makes it a lot easier for your community or other viewers or people who may potentially not know anybody in their life who is, you know, trans or gender nonconforming. And so the more that they see and hear people make like a diligent point to use the correct pronouns and affirm those people in that way, I think the easier it becomes to normalize it for everybody who's involved, because it should be normalized and it should be something that comes naturally to us. And especially with some games that you can play, once you get the community involved, that's whenever that kind of stuff can get kind of tricky if you don't know someone's pronouns for sure. Like if you're playing a game like Among Us, for example, and basically that entire game, you're talking about the other people that you're playing with. You're saying what they were doing, where you saw them, and it's very easy to just automatically say she or to say he. But it's like, it's also just as easy to just say they if you don't know. First of all, you can straight up ask somebody their pronouns. You can do that if you're comfortable doing that and if they're comfortable sharing with you, if you're friends. But if you don't know, or you feel like you're not comfortable asking, or you wanted to ask in private, then just go ahead and use they, you know? So I think just kind of being mindful about the way that you're referring to people, and just making sure you correct yourself if you say something wrong or something incorrect about someone. just correct yourself and move on. And you're just kind of leading the way for everybody else to learn, like, oh, sometimes I might slip up and say the wrong thing, but you just move on from it, you know?
Just a small thought occurred to me about Animal Crossing. The game uses they, them pronouns for everybody. And I think that that's also pretty cool. And I also think it's not unrelated to the queerness that it attracts. And I think that this all intertwines to the fact that we are playing a game that like keeps everything sort of not aggressively gendered. And I think that that is also really special for a game to do. And I think that then in the community as well, I don't know, like subconsciously, I think it makes it a little bit easier to have that sort of be the standard. This is not, we assume everyone's gender type of space, even if that's more of a like subconscious byproduct of the game sort of setting that tone.
Also in Animal Crossing, another thing that is so great that is so like non-gender conforming is that, just for example, going shopping in the Able Sisters shop, it's like you can literally buy whatever you want to buy. You can wear whatever you want to wear. You can dress yourself up however you want to and present yourself however you want to be seen. And so I would imagine that for a lot of people who are in the queer community, it's probably really nice to be able to have an outlet where potentially in real life, maybe you don't feel comfortable presenting yourself in a certain way, but whenever you're playing this game, you can present yourself however you want to, and nobody thinks twice about it. You know, like it doesn't matter because you're playing a game, but you also can represent yourself however you truly see yourself, or for whatever you want to wear that day, or however you want to look. You know, I identify as she, her, but if I show up on Haley's Island and I've got a mustache and clothes on that people would typically associate with men, it's like no one's going to think anything about it because that's just what I want to wear that day and it's not a big deal. But it is nice that the pronouns used are always they, them, and that nothing that is ever done in the game feels like it's leaning like one direction or another. You know, it's all very fluid. You really have the ability to make your island look however you want to look, make your character look how you want to look, make your house look how you want to look. And so I think that probably just provides a lot of freedom for people who may not be able to do that in real life.
Yeah, I suppose at this point, I kind of just wanted to like thank you guys for the kind of stuff that you do, like everything that you've just said. From my personal point of view, like you guys have made me feel so welcomed and so like safe. And if something happens, like if someone misgenders me, like half the time you guys are like, oh, you got just not quite, just like actually. And it's just like so affirming to not have to do that yourself all the time, to not have to like go through like the emotional labor of, oh, do I out myself to this person? Is it worth the potential conversation that could happen? But the way that you guys are able to just go, oh, hang on, and you move on, and then it's so much easier to deal with. So yeah, thank you for that, I suppose. Yeah, I think I kind of want to ask you guys just one final question. And hopefully I would like to get an answer from everyone. And this might be quite a difficult question to answer. I don't really know how I would answer it. And so my question is, what does Twitch mean to you? So if anyone would like to go first, go ahead.
Just to get the ball rolling. Twitch for me has changed my life. Not to overstate it, but it's changed my life. No, but it genuinely has. I think it's also, you know, potentially linked to the fact that the entire world changed the same time that I discovered Twitch. But nonetheless, I have found so many new friends through Twitch. I have found a new creative and expressive outlet for myself, which has been invaluable. I feel like something as a talkative person myself, I'm not an extrovert, but I do talk everything to death. I've missed that feeling of like debriefing with your friends about stuff. You know what I mean? Like about like being able to like sit down with a few pals and talk a subject to death, basically. And I think that that has been like an outlet that's been really helpful for me to be able to hop on and to sort of be like, this is what my brain is thinking right now. And to have people to have a conversation with in real time who I talk to 4 out of the 7 days, you know what I mean? But then also I talk to them in other people's streams. So I probably talk to everybody every day, genuinely. And then on Discord and everything. But so I'm talking to everyone daily, pretty much. And so it's so nice to have those conversations with people who are familiar to me and who I consider my friends, I think it's been genuinely invaluable, especially given the circumstances. But then on top of that, to find so many communities that make me feel really safe and valued, I think has been really good for my self-esteem. And I think it's also been really hopeful for me, or like, it just makes me feel relieved. Like when I hop on and it's just exactly what I need. You know what I mean? Like the chat is a place where I can be sort of like what Jackie was saying earlier. Like if I feel talkative, I can be talkative. If I don't feel talkative, I can just sit and read chat. I don't even have to say hi, to be honest. I do that sometimes because I'm like, my brain is like, if you say hi, you have to say at least a few sentences. You can't just say hi and then dip. And so then sometimes I just sit there and I just watch and I'm like, look at everyone go. Look at this happen. Yeah, it's great. It's beautiful. And it's nice because it's all there. And I think that especially to have found so many streamers that are so inclusive in their communities, even like folks outside of our sort of bubble of community, because there is so much overlap, but folks outside as well, when I'm in their chat, even if they're not a queer streamer themselves, they go out of their way to be like, this is a safe space for anybody, however you identify or whether or not you're sure that this is a safe space. And I found that in so many little pockets of the internet. And so it's really nice to know that it's always there. Like someone is always live. And so if I'm having a really hard day and I just need to like be around people, so to say, I can go hop on Twitch and be around people in a way. And it can match my energy as well. Like I can, like I said, be as talkative or as non-talkative as I want to be. And I think that Twitch has given me genuine friendships, community, and also a way to hopefully be representation that people need online as well. It means a lot to me. I mean, a DM, it wasn't on Twitch, but it's somebody who watches me on Twitch and they were like, I really love the fact that I can like watch you be queer, basically. And that I love that I can like watch you and just be like, yeah, Haley's gay. And I'm watching someone who's gay. That's very cool. It's so important to me. That's like literally what I want to do with my life, is create the content that I think I would have benefited so much from as a kid, and to create that space, but for adults. Not that, teens can't watch whatever they want to, but I think it's also a lot of queer adults tend to like miss out on being a teenager that like knows who they are. And so I think that to have those spaces specifically for queer adults is really important, to like have a fun, silly space where we can play video games that we would have played if we were teenagers, you know what I mean? And like to talk about movies or to simp over celebrities or like to do whatever, and to have it kind of feel like you're just hanging out with pals, and to kind of get that feeling of like, this is probably what it would be like if I had friends that were queer growing up and like could have that community. Because like I grew up in North Carolina, so I did not have any queer friends growing up. Well, actually, you know what? I did, but none of us, we weren't. But anyway, it's given me so much. And especially at a time when quarantine happened, when everything started to shut down, I felt myself shutting down, and I felt myself sort of feeling, because I'm also unemployed. So I also sort of had this feeling of like, I have nothing. Like I have nothing to look forward to. Like what's going, I mean, I have Yeli, but like it's, but it's made me feel so much better about myself, so much bigger than myself. And yeah, I mean, even if this were all to like fizzle out the second that the pandemic is over, I would be forever grateful for the fact that it was there when I needed it. And yeah, it's just been like transformative to how I feel about the week starting, how I feel about waking up in the morning. And it really has made the days feel a lot less lonely.
I would say for me that Twitch is probably comforting over everything. I feel like everything that I've said about it thus far at some point included the word comfort, which is very important to me. I mean, realistically, it is. I want to always feel comfortable, and I want everyone around me and my friends to always feel comfortable too. And so, especially this year and how hard this year has been, I know that it's been hard for everyone. And so it has just been such a big source of comfort to know that not only are we all kind of going through this together, but we also can really experience it and go through it together and get through it together. And especially for me as someone who I don't spend a ton of time with friends in real life. I'm very, very introverted and very much a homebody and really just want to stay home all the time. But I also work a full-time job and work in an office by myself all day, which is perfect and ideal for me and I love, but especially this year, not even having the option to see anyone, not being able to see my family or see my friends. It's like what Haley said. It's like it's boosted my self-esteem, not necessarily in a way where I'm like, oh, I'm so great, but just in a way where I'm like, oh my gosh, I think it's really easy to kind of fall into a lot of negative self-talk. And especially if you can't see the people who you know love you, who you can give a big hug to, and like, you know that they care about you. It's like, I can sit around and feel sorry for myself. But whenever I know that I've got a few people who genuinely want to hang out with me a few times per week, that just makes me feel so happy just to know that I have made friends who really want to spend that time with me. And it's just crazy because it's one of those things that I never would have thought that I would have gotten into and never would have thought that I would have ever started and was honestly very scared to start doing. But at this point, I just like, I can't even imagine what I would be doing right now if I hadn't started doing it. And I am just like beyond thankful for the friends that I've made and the people that I've met. And it's just so sweet for us all to talk to each other. And like, we all know that we're going to meet one day, you know, like we're going to hang out. Like, I cannot wait to hang out with y'all. And I mean that genuinely. And I know that y'all mean that too. And it's just been so comforting and exciting just to know that you can connect with people from all over the world who are going through some experiences that you're going through and also going through totally different experiences that you're going through. It's just been so sweet and I just love it. And it's made me very emotional many times. I love everyone that's my friend on the internet. And I also know that they love me. And that's just the best feeling.
Twitch is also very comforting to me and like really more of a form of self-care than anything else. It's also like very nostalgic to me because I grew up watching like my older cousins play video games. So it like has that feeling to me where I can watch and like it feels very like homey and comforting in that way. Especially like this year, my COVID anxiety has manifested in me becoming a little bit of a hypochondriac in the sense whenever anything is slightly wrong with me, I'm like, I don't want to go to the doctor. I don't want to get COVID. I can't do anything. If this doesn't heal itself, it's not going to be good. And it's like my thought spiral really starts up whenever anything happens. Twitch is really one of the only things that can break me out of that when that happens. Like I remember earlier this year, I had a cut on like one of my stretch marks on my tummy. And I was like, what if it gets infected? What if I have to go to the hospital? What is the worst thing that could happen? And that weekend, I was in such a thought spiral and I literally just like sat down and I think I spent the entire weekend in bed just watching Breath of the Wild streams, and it was truly the only thing that brought me any comfort like while that was going on. And like since then I've had more like scares like that where it's been nothing but I've made it into something, and like every time that happens, Twitch is the thing that I come back to. Like you don't have to be alone, like Jackie and Haley both said, like you can just be there, and even if you don't say anything, it still feels like you're with other people. And yeah, it's like truly very comforting for me as well.
I suppose I'm going to have to answer my own question just because it feels like I need to. So my relationship with Twitch has been very interesting in some ways because I spent a very long time when I first started watching Twitch feeling kind of like an outsider almost. I have very big imposter syndrome, and so I would come into chats and I would be like, I can't talk here. This isn't for me. Everyone here is friends and there's just no space for me because they don't know me. They all know each other. They don't know me. So like I'll watch, but I won't interact. And so I spent a very long time consuming Twitch in that way, which is a very weird way to consume Twitch, like watching people, like the same people every day for months and never speaking to them. It's quite interesting. I wouldn't recommend it, but you know. So I suppose when I finally like got the courage to start speaking in smaller streams, it just felt so validating to be accepted into those spaces. I think genuinely, honestly, Jackie's was probably the first stream that I properly interacted with. And that was because the first stream that I came into of Jackie's, it was from a raid from one of our other friends, and I was having one of the worst nights. And I'd gone to Twitch to be like, okay, I just need comfort from this thing. And then the person I was watching was finishing right then, and I was like, no, this is the worst thing ever. I can't deal with this. But then they raided Jackie, and I was like, okay, well, I don't know this person, but I'll stay here. This is fine. And because Jackie mispronounced my username rather impressively, when I first came to chat, it kind of pushed me to actually like say something, because she was like, I bet I've got that wrong. Please correct me. So I did. And then I just started talking, and I genuinely don't think I've missed one of Jackie's streams since that day. Like, I subscribed to her literally the next stream that I watched, because I got that sweet Prime sub in, and I was like, I'll send that. Bezos can pay for that. And yeah, it just felt so validating to just be like, oh, okay, these people, they're like talking to me. That's nice. Wow. And I think then becoming a moderator helped that even more. Jackie sending me a message being like, hey, like, this is very random, and like you don't have to, but like, do you want to be a mod? I was like, yes. I genuinely almost cried quite a bit. And it was just like this kind of moment of like, oh my God, this person who I like respect so much respects me too. And I was like, whoa, this is a place that I can absolutely call home. And I have ever since. I guess that's what Twitch means to me. Right now, Twitch is home. Does anyone have any final thoughts before we wrap up?
If you are listening to this and this sounds like a cool thing that you would like to be a part of, I just want to encourage you to jump right in. You're welcome, of course, in my stream or Jackie's stream, but even if your first stream isn't one of ours, I just want to encourage you to go for it and to give yourself that chance of finding a really cool community, because like Phoenix just said, it does take a little bit of courage to put yourself out there and say like, hey, I'm here. What's up? Especially if you feel like the community is a little bit more established or people are talking really familiar with each other. But I hope that hearing all of us talk about this, you kind of see that like we all felt that way at some point, and we all now feel so comfortable with each other and we're genuinely friends, and that can happen for you too, especially if you really feel like you need a queer space to be in, and you need somewhere that's going to make you feel safe and affirmed. And also, even if you lurk, you don't have to talk. Lurking is when you just sit and watch, you don't chat. But so even if you lurk, that is also totally valid. And I also like, it makes my heart warm to think that like maybe there are people watching, or maybe people even chatting, who are not out, or maybe they're questioning whether or not they're queer, but that just hanging out in a space that is queer is making them feel comfortable and making them feel connected to the LGBTQ plus community in a way. And I think that, yeah, if you're looking for something like that, or if you feel like that's something that you're missing now that you have to stay home all the time or whatnot, Twitch is a cool place to look. And if you don't find the right community right away, keep looking. There are so many people out there. Like I said, my stream or Jackie's stream, you're welcome to join.
What Haley is saying, I think also just remember that if you do come into Twitch and you're new to it, we all have been new to it at some point. And exactly like Haley just said, like we all have felt that at some point of being afraid to talk, or, you know, like in mine and Haley's case, maybe afraid to start streaming because of what's going to happen. But just always remember that whether you want to lurk and watch, or you think that you want to talk, the streamer that you're watching more than likely is just another person out there who just wants to hang out with you and just wants to make friends. There are definitely people who stream who have a really large following and maybe a large following on other platforms. But when it really comes down to it, we're all just people and we're all just hanging out, and we all are on the same level. I just happen to be behind the camera. Haley said it earlier. It doesn't make me above anyone in my community or above my moderators or anything like that. I see people come into the chat. I'm so genuinely excited that they want to be there and that they want to be my friend. The way that they potentially think about me, I probably think the same way about them. So just remember that too, that if you feel overwhelmed because you don't feel comfortable talking to the streamer for some reason, we're really just there to hang out and play games and chit chat and make friends. And we want you to be comfortable. But yeah, ultimately, I really think that most of us are all there for the exact same reason. And yeah, you're more than welcome in our streams absolutely anytime.
I also want to put Phoenix on the spot a little bit and say thank you to Phoenix, because I think we could all attest to the fact that Phoenix is a huge pillar of all of our communities, and they set the tone always. They are the most amazing example of the most positive and caring community member. And it really warms my heart to think of little lurker Phoenix going on to become a moderator in like 5 different people's streams. I feel like every stream that I hop into, Phoenix is in there with a little green sword. So yeah, Phoenix is amazing and we love you. Not to get sappy, but yes.
Absolutely. Thank you to Phoenix. I truly do not know what I personally would do if I did not have Phoenix as a mod. Like, seriously, Phoenix, the way that you felt whenever I messaged you and asked you to mod, literally, whenever I see you in the chat swinging your sword, I feel the exact same way about you. Absolutely adore you. Thank you so much for everything. Love you. Literally couldn't do it without you. Truly.
Just to backpack off of that, not to completely overwhelm you, but I also genuinely appreciate you so much. And exactly like Yeli and Jackie both said, but it needs to be said a third time. You create such a welcoming vibe in the chat. You're always saying hi to new people. You're always saying, good morning, good afternoon to people that have been there before. I want you to know that it doesn't get taken for granted while we are streaming and there's so much going on. Like, I think of it often and I could stand to say it more, but like, it's such a relief to know that you're in the chat because you are just such a good person. And I know that as a chatter, you're going to be awesome. I know that as a mod, you're going to be awesome. And seeing your name in yellow in the chat is just like a little boost every single time. And yeah, I appreciate you so much. And the fact that you're willing to mod for so many of us and to put in that time, it means a lot to me because I know like you could already have enough on your plate with doing one stream, but also I'm like honored to have you as one of my mods because you're so good at it and you're so good at making sure that you're on top of stuff in the chat. You want to talk about how do you make your chat an inclusive place? You have someone like Phoenix mod for you because I can set the rules, but if I don't have mods that are on it and that know how to create an inclusive space, it just doesn't happen because people can want to create an inclusive space, but if they're not exactly tapped into like things to watch out for or things to do to create that space, it just doesn't happen sometimes. So I appreciate you bringing up ways that we can make things more inclusive, bringing up ways that we can make the stream even better for everyone and a more enjoyable place to be. So I appreciate you so much. We all do. And if you ever need anything from us, don't hesitate. We got you.
I'm not crying. So I'll put that out there. This is not the closest I've come to crying in like 6 months. No, it's fine. I'm great. You guys have overwhelmed me now. My professionalism, what little there was of it, gone. Rounding this all off, first of all, thank you all for coming and speaking to me. This has been amazing. I knew it was going to be when I asked you guys and you were like, yes, I'm so in. Just knowing that you guys are going to be there, it's going to be an incredible conversation. And I really hope that like people listening think that as well. So yeah, basically, I think the last thing to do is to give you guys the space to plug yourselves and everything that you do, whatever things you're involved in, whatever you want people to know about, whatever you want people to go and check out. So Haley, why don't we start with you?
I guess my name is Haley again, in case you forgot which voice was mine, but this is me. And you can find me on pretty much any social media platform at Egg in Crocs, which is EGGINCROCS. Yes, an egg in a Croc shoe. Think of that. type it in, you'll find me. That's my username on Twitch, Instagram. I also make YouTube videos, and that would be under the name Haley Richardson, not Haley Lou Richardson. She is actually famous. She's a famous actress, but just Haley Richardson. That's me. You can also just type Egg and Crocs on YouTube and I'll come up. But that's where I am. And there's a link tree on my Instagram bio if you want to shoot off from there to other endeavors, but that's how you find me.
All right. This is Jackie. And on Twitch, my username is Jackie Rose, JackieRose. Oh gosh, my other social media user handles. I'm just letting y'all know, if this does not give you more information about my personality, then I don't know what will. I just started a brand new Twitter account. The handle is at Yeehaw Jackie. All right. Spelled exactly how it sounds. My Instagram is at certified_horse girl. Okay. I'm from Tennessee, so it's justified. I would be happy to have any of you there. Thank you.
How does one follow that? If you really want to follow me on Twitch, my name is Yeli with 7 eyes, as we discovered today. That's YELIIII. If you would like to find my socials, go to Haley's Instagram and find me through there. If you really want to check out something that I make, I produce a podcast called She's All Fat, and we talk about being fat and being cool and slaying diet culture, and that's what I do.
10 out of 10. Everyone should go and listen to that podcast. It's great. Yeah, so that is everything. We just did a podcast, guys.
Hell
Thank
yeah.
you, everyone, for listening to our podcast. That's not gonna make it to the cut.
Thank you for listening to this month's Queer Disrupt podcast. For more podcasts, check out our Spotify, Spreaker, and Apple Music account. We also have a YouTube account at Queer Disrupt, so please like and subscribe there. We have Twitter and Facebook, both at Queer Disrupt, so please give us a follow. And finally, our website is queerdisrupt.com, where you can stay up to date on all of our upcoming events and see what else we have to offer. Thanks again, and catch you next time.